Hey everybody, it's Beth. Welcome to Infinite Garden. I know it's been a really long time, but I am setting up today in my new house, in my new office kind of recording area. It's also a guest room, and I am turning on the camera for the first time in ages to say hello to all of you. And I've missed you. I've missed you so much. I've received a ton of messages from folks asking how I am, where I am. I'm doing great. I'm doing great. One sec. Those are my extra batteries for my camera charging, and they just like bounced off the shelf and spilled on the floor, and I might need them in a little bit, so I had to get them back together. So I wanted to record this video just to kind of check in and tell you where I've been, what I've been up to, why I haven't been posting, and I wanted to talk a little bit about where I see this channel going over the next leg of the journey. You know, it's been 5 years since I started this channel. 5 years. I've posted about 200 videos in 5 years, and now I have over 10,000 subscribers. It wasn't something that I really thought was going to happen. My channel stayed pretty small for a long time, and I didn't know that it would grow so large. And right around the time it started growing up toward the 10,000 mark is when I started to feel a little bit of burnout. If you've watched certain creators for a long time, you'll hear that that happens. People start to get burned out. And for me, that happened. It did. And it was for two reasons, really. The burnout happened in part because I do have a demanding full-time job. This is a hobby. It's something I do on my weekends. And I have increasingly busy weekends. When I started the channel, it was 2020. We remember what that was like, 2020. And now it's 2025. It's soon to be 2026. So my weekends have just gotten busier since the world has taken on its new form, whatever we call what's going on these days. And I'm busy a lot of the times. I have obligations. The other thing that happened this year is that we moved. I had been living in the city of Detroit, pretty much right downtown, for 11 years. I was there when I met my husband, and he moved from the suburbs in, and we lived, when we got married, we got a place and lived basically downtown for 7 years. And last year, we started thinking we might want to move to a nearby suburb. We'd been eyeing some houses and neighborhoods and really liked what we were seeing and decided that we wanted to make a go for it and see if we maybe wanted a little more room, because our place was, well, not petite, it was compact, and we didn't have a garage. And so we were thinking we might want a little more room and a 2-car garage, very suburban, but we were looking for that, and we wanted to be close to Detroit because that's where a lot of our social network is. So we started looking and we found a place. So we bought the house that I'm sitting in right now in May last year and moved in July. So the process of searching for, bidding on, negotiating, winning, buying, doing some renovations. We've been doing a lot of paint and other types of physical renovations to the house. That whole process ate up most of 2025 and a lot of my free time. We were able to, we hired a painter and all of that, but we did a lot of the work ourselves, and that both was a lot of extra work, coordination, research, that type of thing, and then just like mental load, picking colors, all of that. It just ate up a lot of time and a lot of energy. And so that took away a lot of my extra bandwidth to be able to post. And I, for whatever reason, didn't feel super comfortable doing impromptu simple posts while that was going on. I just didn't feel like I had it. Man, the other thing, I'll just address it. One of the things that led to my burnout and just kind of how I was feeling is just sort of what's been going on. I live in the US. This last year has been a challenge for a lot of folks, and I didn't feel in a lot of cases like I had something to contribute to the conversation. And the last thing I wanted to do was to get on here and review products and tell people what they should and shouldn't buy. It just felt completely tone deaf given what's been going on. And so I just didn't want to wade into that. My very gentle attempts at maybe suggesting anything political on this channel were met with, people unsubscribing, saying nasty things, which doesn't really bother me, but it's still uncomfortable, and I just didn't want to do that. I didn't want to just get back in the mix, and so for me, staying quiet felt at the time like the best thing for me. But now I'm fine to come back out and put myself out again. I don't know. It's been a rough year. I think most of you will understand. I just didn't feel that comfortable putting myself out into the public to talk about things like stuff I really love, you know, fragrance, makeup, hair care. It just didn't feel like the time. So I hope you understand that. 2025 for me this year has been really important for me personally in terms of getting control of my health. I have made a couple of, really just two, I would say almost three big changes in the way I'm taking care of myself this year. And the first one is that I stopped drinking alcohol. It was something that was kind of a long time coming. I've slowed down on alcohol to the point where the last several years, I would probably be classified as a light drinker, maybe 1 or 2 a week. I was kind of in that category. Really normal where I live socially. That's a really kind of common level for drinking. Maybe people drink even a little bit more. My drinking was entirely socially. I would do it after work when I would meet up with friends or at people's houses at parties, that type of thing. I almost never drank at home on my own. At most at home, it would be like a glass of wine if we had a nice meal. So I wasn't even drinking very much, but I decided to do dry January just because I realized I had never gone a whole month without drinking in a very long time, a very, very, very long time. And I decided that that would be good. Why not? Let's do dry January. And in January 2025, I did dry January. It was easy. And by the end of January, I felt so good that I decided to go on. And what I noticed primarily about what that did to my health was that I noticed my joints, my knees and my hips were, they felt 10 years younger after a couple of months. They felt better after 1 month. And then the longer that went on, the better they felt. And I was realizing the inflammation that alcohol was causing in my system. So I went completely without alcohol all the way through to July 25th. And I went to a quinceañera in Mexico City in July, and they had some tequila shots, and that was what kind of broke my streak. But that was, at the time, I was fine to break the streak then for that. That was a good time, moment of celebration. And so I did break that then. And then we, on my birthday, had a glass of champagne, did a little wine tasting when we went to Italy in September. And then I went to a wedding in October, and I had a couple drinks at the wedding, and the next day I felt ill, like I was ill. And that was the last time I've had any alcohol. I was starting to dabble with pulling it back in my life in just those times I mentioned, but no other times. And I found myself sick again in October with a very, very minimal drinking, but my system was just rejecting it. And I think that's what I learned during this process, is that my body doesn't want that anymore. And no matter, even though that I have very moderate habits, my system doesn't want it at all. And so I've kind of moved into this space where I'm drinking, I've always had a lot of water, but I'm trying out some of these new like NA wines and beers and like those NA cocktail mixers. There's a really good one that's in the Detroit area called Casamara. And I've just been exploring that and realizing how many people are in the same boat as me that are either reducing a lot or eliminating entirely. And it's interesting to see. It's very different. Those of you who watch this channel who are from the boomers generation or Gen X, we grew up, I don't know if this was true for you, but in the upper Midwest, we grew up drinking a lot. That was just part of culture. And I never really questioned it. And it's been kind of an interesting revelation this year to basically eliminate drinking. I would say now that my drinking level is like nearly never or almost never. I don't know if I will again, but for the most part, now I'm going months and months at a time without drinking, and it feels really good. I'm super happy about it. That's been the major change I've made in 2025. The other thing that I did, this is more of a purchase, but it's been interesting, is I bought one of these Aura rings. I'm sure you guys have heard of these. It's a biometric device, I guess is what you call it, a health tech device that you wear, and it communicates with an app, and it tells you about the metrics it can measure through sending lights through your skin into your bloodstream. So it's like heart rate, oxygen levels, how well I'm sleeping, those types of things. And then it triangulates the data and gives me sort of readouts about quality of my sleep, quality of my cardiovascular health, that type of thing. So I bought this in March, and I've been wearing it since then. So not quite a year, but enough time to have some data with it. And I've been enjoying it. I know there's people who prefer it or don't prefer it, but it's been working for me. I'm not an Apple Watch wearer, so I liked the discretion of having the ring. So I've been enjoying that. I'm happy to talk about that more if anybody out there is interested in hearing more about it. I'm really happy to do a dedicated video just on my experience with it and just talk through sort of my high-level opinion on it. I'd be happy to do that. Let me know in the comments if you'd want to hear more about that. I would say the only other thing worth mentioning is that partly with moving, we joined our local gym. It's kind of like, it's not a YMCA, but it's like a YMCA, and we joined that. So I've actually started running on the treadmill again, which has been a long time. I used to be a pretty avid runner, and I stopped after I did a triathlon that burned me out, and I kind of lost my taste for heavy exercise. This was like when I was in my mid-30s. And so getting back on the treadmill and jogging a little bit has been good. My body's responding to it pretty well, and I'm enjoying the feeling. It's something I used to do a lot, and I missed it. So I'm excited to be back with that too. So I've just been, honestly, in 2025, taking much better care of myself and paying more attention. Also drinking less caffeine, just shifting, more herbal teas, all of that. I've been really like overhauling. I've said this to somebody else, that I was like renegotiating my relationship with alcohol, which has contributed to excellent sleep, which I can see on my Oura Ring data tells me I get really great sleep. And I've just been prioritizing my best health. I'm 47. I am, in the midst of perimenopause, and I really want to take the best care of myself as possible and not get in my own way, And that's what this year has really been about. Another thing that has been kind of like in the health category, but really more with my little dog. Chewy's right here next to me, behind me. She's off camera, but she's right here. Chewy is 8 and she's a Shih Tzu, and so if anybody's had little Shih Tzus, they can be kind of delicate health-wise. They can get little issues, and she's doing all right, but she was diagnosed with Cushing's disease this year, so she's on medicine. It's an endocrine disorder that impacts the adrenal gland. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a vet, but my understanding is she's producing too much adrenaline or cortisol. It's like an anxiety thing, but it's also maybe there's a tumor on her adrenal gland. Anyway, it is treatable with medicine. And so we've started her on medicine, and we've been really monitoring her health as well. So Chewy's been a little delicate this year, and everything related to health has just taken a greater focus in 2025. And whatever in the past made me kind of ignore some of the good wisdom of the day, about how to take care of yourself. I'm not ignoring it anymore. I'm focusing on that. I'm just grateful for every day of good health that I have and for the health of those around me. In terms of my channel, I'm excited to be back doing this. I think what I've needed the break from is feeling like I was starting to grow maybe a little disconnected from the content I was making. I really like doing product reviews. I enjoy products. I am interested in business. I'm interested in developing products for sale. So a lot of times my product reviews are kind of like holistic and really thinking about what the maker is doing as well as the product themselves. I enjoy doing that. I'm going to continue making product reviews. I have a couple in the hopper. I was sent a red light mask from a company. I'll be doing a dedicated video on a red light therapy mask, which I've been trying now. I've been trying it for about 3 weeks, so I'm still getting my thoughts together on it, but I will be sharing that. I know many of you either have those or are interested in those, and I'll be sharing my thoughts pretty soon. I also have lots to share about the brand Manicurist. I did a dedicated video about this at-home gel manicure line. I bought it with my own money. It was all my own opinions, and the video took off. I got a lot of views, and Manicurist sent me tons of stuff. They've been really generous with me and have been sending me their product line. So I have tons of stuff that was sent to me this summer, including like tools, like their active line, which is just enamel product, as well as more gel colors. And then they just sent me their holiday collection, which right now I'm wearing the color Fairy. So I'll be sharing more about them as well. And then just other stuff that has been going on. So I'll be sharing all of that. I'll also do more informal kind of sit down talks like this. I am very comfortable in my new space, and I'm getting comfortable with my new tech. I didn't mention this, but one of the other things that prevented me from doing stuff is that I switched from a PC. I had a HP Hewlett-Packard laptop, and I had a subscription to a video editing software called PowerDirector 365. And I switched over to an Apple, and I got Final Cut Pro, which the learning curve is super steep. So I'm going to be making my YouTube videos in iMovie for a while, which is perfectly fine. I'm going to do that to get myself acclimated, but I have to learn Final Cut Pro just because I want to. It's a challenge that I want to take on. iMovie is perfectly sufficient for YouTube videos. So part of it also has been me getting used to my new tech in my new space. So that has been keeping me a little bit, on the sidelines. So I hope that everybody's, still out there. And if you're not, I understand. Consistency, I know, is key with building a community. And I've now had a couple of years where I've gone away for chunks of time, and I understand, how that is. So if you've been a longtime viewer and you're back to see this video, hi, hi, how are you? I hope you're doing really well. It's great to have you here. And for those of you who maybe subscribe because of my product review videos, I'll be doing more of those as we go, and I'm looking forward to it. The last thing I'll say is that, my new house that I'm living in has a beautiful yard, and I called my channel Infinite Garden in the beginning because, more for metaphysical reasons than necessarily practical garden related reasons. I believe that our thoughts, our words, our deeds are planting seeds, and they reverberate around us and beyond us and into the wider world for all infinity. That's just what I believe, and it's important to think good thoughts, say good things, do good deeds. I am imperfect. I don't always do that myself, but I do know that that is when I'm more mindful of those things, I am happier and I see resonance in my life. And that's what I meant by Infinite Garden. I wanted to communicate that idea, especially for folks who may be in the 40 plus, 50 plus community that, we are continuing to grow and develop and be beautiful and plant seeds and enhance the world around us well past, age 25, 35. So that was also part of the instance of it. But I'm going to also maybe make some videos if you guys are interested in me actually developing my garden. I bought a house with somewhat overgrown yard. Michigan has growing zone 6. That's I think I'm 6A. And that's kind of nice. It's a nice zone for growing perennials, especially. I've planted a couple of trees. I planted an eastern redbud forest pansy. I think I'm going to put a dogwood in my backyard next summer. We've been busy clearing out the dying things and getting sort of like the junk out and clearing space so we can start to plant anew. So I'll be sharing some of that if you guys are interested in seeing that as well. It's a really beautiful space, and I'm so happy to be here. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. If you stayed to the end, you are a real one. I've missed being here. I really appreciate all of you who've reached out. Love you guys, love this channel, and I'm really happy to be back. I hope that you are all doing well out there, and I hope you have a great week ahead. Thank you so much for watching. Talk soon.